him out there. He's paddling as quick as he can. He's going out there. He gets all the way out there, gets the kid on the raft. The kid didn't even help at all. Like, he's petrified in the water. In fact, the kid, like, curls up fetal position on the way back and is thinking, like, I'm not lying. He was petrified. He was on top. Not a finger, not a leg was in the water on the whole way back. The guys behind there, like, paddling the raft all the way back, Like, okay, whatever, So anyways, the kid comes out. I mean, it was a huge to-do. All of a sudden, no lie, the water gets to the part where that kid was. The rain gets to the part where that kid was. Like, I mean, and like, I'm seriously getting to the point now where I'm legitimately worried about our chances of survival, Because there's like that moment in life where you realize, I didn't say bye to my wife, type thing, like, okay, I know I can swim. These sixth graders clearly can't think straight to swim. And they have life jackets, but, they're the kind of life jackets you throw in the boat that you just have them on the boat because you need life jackets in the boat. They're not really the kind that save people from storms, So, like, I wasn't sure of their chances of survival. So, all the meanwhile, we're floating further and further away from everything. We're going down towards the other end of the lake. This huge, expansive lake. There's reeds down there that when I got down there, found out they were taller than I was. So I'm stepping out of these things, and it's crazy stuff. But before that, craziest thing happened. This wall of water is approaching us. There's lightning and just the most colossally loud, thunderous claps of thunder you could ever imagine. I mean, it's just one of those legitimate, like, crazy storms. And it gets to where that kid was in the water. And literally, like, we're all in the boat thinking, what's going to go on? And all of a sudden, this wind began blowing from the west. And it pushed the storm literally due east. And that wall of water stayed literally right there the entire time for the next 15 minutes. And that wall of water stayed there, and this storm was being pushed this way. We saw the clouds. Like, the clouds were coming towards us. Like, they were coming towards us. And then all of a sudden, like, this gust of wind or something, like, whatever, it changed direction. And we're sitting there like, we can't believe this is happening. Like, it's so surreal, we can't believe this is happening to us. And so all the thunder, all the lightning goes off to the east. It's just another one of those storms that popped up, ran a different direction, and then went away. We didn't see it again. It was sunny, bright, and sunny the rest of the day. Unbelievable. Well, we keep floating the boat down to the other end. We get stuck in the reeds. Meanwhile, we've been screaming and yelling at people out on their docks, for the last hour, because it was an hour after the storm. We finally hit land on the other side. And we're just floating there in the water. We were a long ways from our camp. And finally, this guy sees we're stuck in the reeds. He's like, hey, you guys need help? We're like, yeah, dude, we sure do. Yeah, what made you think that? We're hanging out in the reeds, who doesn't do that? So the guy gets in his boat, pulls us by his pontoon boat out of the way, gets us back up to the shore, gets us on this deal, and we were like, I think we ended up being about 3.5 miles from our camp when the guys came and got us and measured us. So it was a long ways. We're just swim. So, like, that experience, like, revolutionized the way that I think about boating and stuff. And I really want Kelly to hear that story because I don't really think he'd let me borrow his boat after he heard that. But whatever. All right. So, I mean, that was a completely crazy story of some people out there scared to death in a boat that were completely at the mercy of all of the forces of nature around it. And I began thinking to myself, and I was reading through Mark this past week. And I got up to that story of when Jesus is in the boat with his disciples. Open up to Mark chapter 4, 35 through 41. Come across this crazy story. You're sitting there thinking like, how in the world could these guys, these disciples, be scared of a storm when Jesus is in the boat? How could they be scared of that? And if you think about it, they still live life by the laws of nature. In their mind, boat capsizes, and think about it, they don't have the technology we have now, so it's not like a cool, fiberglass boat, it's going to stay up out of the water comes in, it's cool, it'll still stay afloat. Like old rickety wooden boat, they're crossing like a huge sea in, and I've been to that sea, it's pretty crazy. So by all the laws of nature, they think that there's imminent death awaiting them when this huge storm comes upon them. They're in the middle of the sea and they have no way of escape. They don't have life jackets. So if the boat breaks up, they can grab a piece of wood and hopefully make it to shore. That's what they're facing at this point. And I get them when they are so scared, it seems like reading through the lines, they're going to pee their pants. All right, I get that now. I really get that. Let's read Mark chapter 4, verse 35 through 41. On that day when evening had come, he said to them, that's Jesus saying to them, Let us go across to the other side. And leaving the crowd, they took him with them in the boat, just as he was, and other boats were with him. And a great windstorm arose, and the waves were breaking into the boat, so that the boat was already filling up. But he was in the stern, asleep on the cushion. And they woke him and said to him, Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing? And he awoke and rebuked the wind. What do you think he said? You're a naughty wind, stop it. You know, like, what do you think he said? He rebuked the wind. I always wonder about that. Anyways, peace. It says, peace, peace, wind. Be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. He said to them, why are you so afraid? Have you still no faith? And they were filled with great fear and said to one another, who then is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? All right, this is a pretty remarkable, awesome story about Jesus that reveals to us several truths about our Savior. And I just want to go through this with you pretty quick and kind of talk about them just for a little bit, okay? The first thing is this, all right? Jesus told the disciples to get into the boat, right? He commanded them, get into the boat. We're going to cross the sea and go someplace else. Jesus crossed the sea with them. That was his intention. Jesus led them into the boat. Here's the deal. Jesus will never lead you someplace where he can't, what? Protect you. Jesus will never lead you someplace where he can't protect you. Jesus was in the boat with the disciples. He told them to get into the boat. His presence was with them in the boat. Jesus was not going to lead them someplace he couldn't protect them. Now, that doesn't mean that every time Jesus is going to step in front of the bullet for you. That doesn't mean your life is going to be easy, and we should expect it to be because we're believers. I mean, that's not what he's saying here. But the truth is this, where Jesus leads you, he can protect you. I love that verse in Psalm chapter 91, verse 1. He who abides in the shelter of the Almighty will dwell in the shadow of the Almighty, or something just like that. I will say to my God, my fortress in whom I trust. Psalm 91 is an awesome passage you want to memorize. Think about that. Hanging out in the shadow of the Almighty means that I have the imminent protection of the most powerful creator, the most powerful being in all of creation. Jesus will never lead you someplace where he can't protect you. Where he can't protect you. Doesn't mean that he will. He might leave you out there. Remember Job, he might leave you out there in a place to test your faith, to develop something in you for a situation that he might use in you later. But the truth is still the same, is that where Jesus is, Jesus can protect. And that's what the disciples didn't get. They didn't get that at the beginning. They ran from that thought. In fact, they got onto Jesus. Don't you care about us? Come on, Jesus, don't you care about us? Some of y'all are saying to their parents, you don't love me. You don't love me. You can't love me. Then you storm off to your room and go slam the door, right? Nobody does that, right? No one's ever done that, liars. All right? You don't care about me. That's what they said to Jesus, right? He's like the essence of care. Like he's like a big heart. He loves. That's what he does. That's what he is, you know? I mean, and they were yelling this at him, saying, you don't care about us? You would lead us into this storm, and you don't even care about us? And I love that passage, Isaiah chapter 43, verses 1 through 3. You know, and if you were to go and read it, the basic gist of it is this, is that I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel. When you pass through the waters, I will what? I'll be with you. And when you pass through the fires, they will not burn you or scorch you. When you pass the flames, they will not overwhelm you or overcome you. It doesn't say if. I think it's very interesting out there. It doesn't say if you pass through these things. It says when. And the entire time it says that God is with them throughout that entire storm. God is with them. Jesus won't lead you where he can't protect you. And Jesus will never lead you where he's not. If you're in the center of who he wants you to be. If you're centered on him. So look, first truth is this that we read out of this, that Jesus will never lead you where he can't what? Protect you. Jesus will never lead you where he what? Can't protect you. He'll never lead you. The second thing that we see is this, is that if Jesus can calm a physical storm, he can calm the storms in our lives as well. We all have storms. No one here has ever gone through just a really awful situation in their life. Just something that was just a wreck. It wrecked your life. It was something that tore you apart. It tore you down. It made you start questioning things.